Yo, what's good, guys, and welcome back to another MidCourt Report. Today we're going to be talking about Arizona, Iowa State, North Carolina, Kentucky versus Tennessee, Louisville's defense, and then St. John's and a very smart hire in Rick Pitino. Alright, so first we're going to talk about Arizona and Iowa State. Caleb Love was clutch, big time clutch for them in this game. This game was just beautiful. It was a testament to how good Arizona can actually be. Arizona only has losses to solid teams. They got Wisconsin, Duke, Oklahoma, West Virginia, UCLA, Texas Tech, and then they got some big wins as well. Big wins against Baylor, West Virginia, Cincy, UCF, and although those aren't like the greatest teams you can beat, you know what I'm saying? They're solid wins, so Arizona's not a bad team, as most of us seen from Monday night. Monday night we are watching this game. It's Arizona versus Iowa State. This game was very back and forth. It was a close game throughout the entire time. Arizona goes up 4 at halftime. Right out the gates, Iowa State kind of starts taking control a little bit. I'm thinking Iowa State's going to run up the score on them a little bit, go up by 10. Never really happened. Stayed close the entire time until we come down to the last 3 seconds. Okay, I think there was like 2.2 left on the clock. I forget who was shooting the free throws for Iowa State, but he misses the first, makes the second. Iowa State's up 3 with about 2.2 left. And this is what happened.
Down the court.
3-point game.
Too far.
Here's Love for the tie.
Takes up a 3. And it goes in to force overtime. It was insane to watch because as I'm watching the game, I'm sitting here with my girlfriend, and next thing you know, it goes in. Alright, I couldn't do much about it. I just freaked out because I wasn't expecting it to go in. And then also, during that game, as he took the shot, the announcer said, "That's way too far." Like, they basically thought it was over. They said that they needed to throw the ball in down the court instead of right here on their side. And whenever he shot, they said, "It's too far." And it went in. And they were just speechless for the next 3 minutes watching Arizona celebrate. It was insane. Then we get into overtime, where Caleb Love would then hit 3 threes in overtime to help lead the Arizona Wildcats past number 3 Iowa State. They win by 11 points. Tamaine Lipsey led the way for Iowa State with 18, while Keyshawn Gilbert added 17 points and 6 boards. For Arizona, Caleb Love obviously leads the way. He leads the way with 22 points. Did not shoot very good. He was 8 of 22 from the field. But he caught fire at the right time when they needed him to. Toby Awaka adds 17 points and 12 rebounds. Carter Brandt and KJ Lewis both add 14 points off the bench. So that Arizona State game, or Arizona and Iowa State game, my bad, was very good. And Arizona could be a threat if the pieces fall right and they fall into their lap correctly. They can upset some people. They're not a bad team, but I want to say they're amazing just yet. They still need to find that guy who can help push them over the top just a little bit. And then for UNC, man, we need to have a talk about UNC. They need to figure it out fast, and they need to figure it out now. Like, It's bad. UNC is not a bad team. If they get into the tournament, they can easily make it to the Sweet 16, depending on what teams they play against in the first 2 rounds. But it's just they have a lot of good games. They play very good against good opponents. Louisville, you know what I'm saying? SMU, Wake Forest, all these teams they play good against. It's a close game for most of the game, but they cannot close out games. Every time they get into a close game down the stretch, they blow it. Like they just do. Last night they played Pitt with 2:40 left in the second half. North Carolina was up 65-64 with 2:40 left. So 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. They're up 1. And Pitt ended the game on a 9-0 run to win the game 73-65. North Carolina can't close out games at all. It's horrific. They let Louisville go on a 13-1 run to win the game back on New Year's Day to start off January. And then they've choked a lot. They've choked the game against Florida, which is a good win if they win that game. They choked the game against Michigan State, which is a very good win if they win that game. They choked the game against Kansas, which is a solid win if they win that game. Like, Kansas is still, ranked number 12, I think? They choked against Stanford and Wake Forest. And now they've added Pitt to that selection of teams. Those are all big games that they desperately needed. Like, even if they just win 4 of those or 3 of those, they're in a much better position. Like, much, much better position. But this week, they got Duke. They better put on a show and win this game, or this season may be over for UNC. All I know is they got to figure it out fast. And it's got to happen, soon. Because if you go... I know they are playing at Duke. So if you go to Duke, you lose there, right? Now you're on a 3-game losing streak, 2-game losing streak. I don't remember if they lost their last game. But you lose there, you're kind of on your way out. Joe Lombardi already had them as his last 4 in, so they were barely scraping by. Anyways, now they've lost to Duke or Pitt. Now they have Duke. They might not even be a tournament team this year, and it's not even because they're not good. They have the talent, the roster's there, but they can't close out games. And people are going to take consideration in that. If you can't close out a game, your team's not going to deserve to be in the tournament, and they might find themselves outside of this tournament very soon, very, very soon. Let's move on into upsets. For upsets, we got number 13 versus number 8 Tennessee. Kentucky, my bad. Number 13 Kentucky versus number 8 Tennessee. It was a hard-fought game. That's the only upset today. Obviously, there was other games, but they weren't ranked, so I just felt like talking about this one. It was a hard-fought game. Tennessee took 22 more shots than Kentucky did, 21 of those shots. So, out of the 22 more shots that they took than Kentucky, they took 21 more threes than Kentucky as well. So, out of the 22 shots that Tennessee took, they took 21 threes. Shots just didn't fall for Tennessee, but that's also a testament to how Kentucky actually played defense today. I know I haven't been the highest of hopes on Kentucky's defense. They did struggle a little bit against this Tennessee team because Tennessee plays with a lot of energy, but Tennessee's shots weren't falling, and Kentucky, their defense stepped up. They were out. They had no Lamont Butler this game. But their defense kept them in the game, and also just the shots not falling for Tennessee. They had a couple of really good looks I thought should have gone in, and they just rimmed out. It just wasn't their night. Tennessee only shot 34% from the field and 24% from 3. They went 12 of 17 from the line. Igor Milikic Jr. led the way with 19 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. Kentucky may have very well lost this game had they, not won the free throw battle, or had they not shot so well on the game, because Tennessee, if you shoot 22 more times than a team, if you have 22 more shot attempts, there's a high chance you're going to win that game. But Tennessee just couldn't get any shots to go in. And then for Kentucky, on the other hand, they shot very efficiently. They shot 50% from the field and 50% from three. They went 16 of 24 from the line. Kobe Bray led the way with 18 points, while Robertson adds 17 points and Amari Williams adds 10 points, 15 rebounds. That was a good game. I was watching that game while I was also watching the Louisville game last night. And up next, we have to talk about Louisville's defense. So let's hop right on into it. Let's talk Louisville's defense. All right, Louisville Cardinals defense, man. The Cardinals played Wake Forest, a game I and a lot of other people were expecting to be a good game. Wake Forest had just came off a loss to Duke by only 7 points, and they've played very well. Wake Forest was a very hot team going into the Duke game. They lost by 7. So they didn't play horrible against Duke. And then the game started. It was very physical and chippy. All right, a lot of physicality to this game on both ends. Everyone was diving for loose balls. First 8 minutes into the game, score was only 14-11. And really, it probably shouldn't have even been that high. There was a lot of fouls. There were a lot of free throws as well. But it was a good, hard-fought game. It really was. Chucky Hepburn finds Abubakar Traore for a layup. It takes him to a 16-11 lead. Next thing you know, Louisville's got the ball back, and Abubakar Traore is finding Rain Smith for 3. After that 3 goes in, Rain Smith hit, I'm pretty sure that was a nothing but net 3. After that 3 goes in, the floor opened wide up for the Cards. The floor spacing it basically grew, okay? The defense was face guarding Rain Smith the entire game for the first 8 or so minutes. First half of the first half. So the first 10 minutes, maybe even longer, they were just face guarding him. They did not want him getting the ball. Whoever his assignment was, I didn't really pay attention to who it was, literally did not stop looking at him. He did not care about where the ball was. He just looked directly at Rain Smith and followed him everywhere. But once that 3 went in for Rain Smith, that first 3, the floor just opened wide up. It was crazy. After that, Rain Smith 3 went in. The 2 minutes in after that, Louisville's up 26-11. They just went on an 11-0 run just instantly. That 3 from Rain, and then 2 more 3s from Terrence Edwards Jr. And then that layup from Abubakar Traore. It was quick. It just boom. They were up 26-11. It was a 12-0 run. My bad. Louisville's defense held Wake Forest to a 21-45 deficit at halftime. So from 12 minutes in the first half, when Wake Forest got their 11th point, to the end of the first half, they only scored 10 points. Louisville's defense was amazing this game. And although the score that you guys probably seen doesn't reflect it. It was a very good game. I mean, Louisville's defense was just, they had so much energy. They were just super physical. They weren't letting anybody just bully them. There was no bully ball happening in this game. At one point, Louisville was up 29 in this game. The game was not as close as it seems, like I said. It was just very physical from the very start. And Louisville's energy, their willingness and relentless drive and effort through every possession wore this Wake Forest team down very quickly. The Cards end up winning 72-59, with Louisville ending the game scoring 1 point in the last 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes of the game, Louisville didn't even score 1 point in the last 5 minutes. With 5:20 left, they had 72 points, and they only won 72-59. So the last 5.5 minutes, Louisville did not score. Now that I think about it, yet they still win by 13 against a Wake Forest team who's not bad. Like, this Wake Forest team is not bad at all. They play good. They're coached very smartly. Like, they're well coached. Yet they still lost by 13 with Louisville not scoring a single basket in the last 5.5 minutes. Chucky Hepburn led the way for the Cards with 14 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Rain Smith adds 16 points, 4 of 10 from 3. And Terrence Edwards Jr. ends the game with 18 points. Javon Hadley struggled this game. He was about the only guy they couldn't get going, to be honest. He was, I think, 2 of 10, but he had like 8 rebounds. Cards didn't have a very efficient night themselves, but they did go up 29 because of their toughness and relentless drive through every possession. Like, they don't know how to take their foot off the pedal. That's for sure. I do think towards the end of the game, with about 3 minutes left, they did take their foot off the pedal because they were up about 20 with 3 minutes left. And, I mean, teams can obviously still get in it, but when you have 3 minutes left, your shot clock's 30 seconds, they just started wasting the clock, to be honest. But it happens. Teams go on droughts where they just don't score for 5 minutes. We've seen Louisville do it multiple times this year where they couldn't score for 8 minutes a game. You know, they go 6 minutes a game without scoring. And those games, they still end up winning. And they still end up winning by double digits. It happened in the UNC game. They went 8 minutes without scoring, still won by 13. And I think that's a testament to how good this Louisville defense actually is and how well Pat Kelsey coaches them. He gets their mind right. He gets their bodies ready. And he has them put all their energy and all their effort out on the court. Louisville goes undefeated in the month of January. They did not lose at all in January. I think the only other team to do that in the ACC was Duke. Obviously, they're on like a 15-game win streak. Louisville's on a 10-game win streak, or 13 or 14, somewhere around there for Duke. So the only two ACC teams to go undefeated are the two teams who played each other in December. Duke won that game in December by 11. And the reason why the Cards were in it was because of their defense. They couldn't score very well against that Duke team in December. They had good shots, they had good looks, and they just weren't going in. Yet they only lost by 11. and they were up at halftime. They lost because Cooper Flagg took over down the end, made some tough layups, some tough buckets against that Louisville team, where in reality Duke probably should have only won that game by 6 or 7. But they win by double digits, and that's a testament to how good Duke is. That's also a testament, I think, again, to how good Louisville's defense is. Now both teams are very well. They're both very polished. Both teams know each other's roles. They know how to play together. And I would love to see a Duke-Louisville rematch in the ACC title game, because I think it's going to be a very good game. And I think if Duke wins, obviously they're going to be a 1 seed. They're kind of just running through the ACC, you know what I'm saying, right now. So they're going to be a 1 seed. Everybody knows that. They're probably not going to lose very much. They don't have much competition. They do have UNC twice. But I think they also have Pitt a couple times. So, I mean, they could lose a couple more games, but they're not going to drop too many. If Louisville and Duke happen in the ACC title game, the one that it's going to affect the most if they win will definitely be Louisville. And they're going to win because of their defense if they win that game. But only time will tell. Never know what happens until then. Next up, we got our MidCourt Report. So let's go ahead and hop right onto it. Our MidCourt Report is St. John's and a very smart hire in Rick Pitino, the old Louisville coach. Can the Johnnies win their first Big East title since 1992? That's 33 years ago. Rick Pitino is doing the things that made his hiring a very good hire for St. John's. I think Marquette can still win the Big East, but St. John's will be top 3 by the end of the season, no doubt. UConn could still possibly pass St. John's in the Big Eastern Conference standings, but I don't know. St. John's is a very good team. They're very solid. I think they're ranked number 15 right now in the country, and that's because of Rick Pitino being there. They have Providence coming up, and then they have Marquette Tuesday, February 4th, number 9 Marquette. So that's going to be a good game. I'm definitely going to be watching that. Hopefully I'll have that update out on Wednesday as well for that Marquette game. I'm definitely going to talk about it. That's for sure. So that Marquette-St. John's matchup should be good. But this was a very good hire. They got one of the smartest coaches in college basketball, one of the greatest basketball minds of all time, to come to their school. They gave him millions of dollars, to go out and buy a team, basically, to build a team that can compete. And it's working so far. It's his second year in St. John's, and they're playing well. I mean, I'm not saying this will help for every team. Obviously, your staff that's behind the head coach and all that is going to play a role, and what happens, your trainers, all that's going to, play a role. Your facilities are going to play a role. The medics are going to play a role for your team. But your team starts at the mind of the coach. It always does. If your coach's system is absolute buns, your team is going to be absolute buns. You have to have a good, smart, high IQ basketball coach to get teams to mesh well together, to find out what their roles are, you know what I'm saying, and to just make it much, much easier on the players. Like last year, under Kenny Payne, Louisville last year under Kenny Payne was not good. Like, It was not good at all. A very, very bad 2 years with Kenny Payne put that Louisville program in the dumpster very quickly. He just wasn't a high IQ coach. He wasn't energetic. When you seen him on the screen when they were playing, he was just sitting on the bench, just looking like he wasn't actually there to coach. He just put them out there so they could just go shoot the ball over a team who's trying to go win a national championship. It was bad. Louisville obviously then hires a high IQ coach in Pat Kelsey, and they're 16-5 on a 10-game winning streak. So it's a testament. Every school needs a high IQ coach. They need a good basketball coach, because if you don't have that, your team's not going to be very successful, no matter how much talent you have on that roster. Arkansas, for example, Calipari, he is a very smart coach. Very smart. But his system no longer works anymore. That system he used to run in Kentucky for all those years where Kentucky's been dominant no longer works anymore. It just doesn't. And Arkansas has the talent. They really do. Boogie Fland, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have the talent there. They just don't have the right system anymore. Rick Pitino, on the other hand, runs a very good system. He's a very high IQ coach, and it's working for St. John's in the Big East. So we'll see what happens over there in the Big East Conference. I would really like to see how the standings for the Big East turn out. And I'm really excited to watch this Marquette-St. John's matchup February 4th on Tuesday. And that's 6 days away, so we'll see. They have Providence before then, though. So first they got to get through Providence, and then they can worry about Marquette. Anyways, thanks for coming out, y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. I'm about to get ready to go to work, so peace out.